and welcome to another episode of First Impression Sports Talk. I'm Jasmine Pollock, and we have a great show for you guys today. So let's get started. And welcome back to Jasmine's First Impression Sports Talk. Before we get into the U and their basketball team making the Final Four, I want to talk a little bit about the Baltimore Ravens. So let's bring on Jeremiah. We're going to talk maybe a good 2 minutes about it because it is breaking news. It just came out. The Ravens. Lamar Jackson announced today on his social media that he requested a trade back on March 2nd. Today is March 27th. Why haven't we heard anything about him getting a deal, negotiations, trade talks, anything? And I did a Pollock's points on this that will be dropping today because I had a lot to say. I'm not going to get into it because I'm going to let you guys watch Pollock's points. But Jeremiah, just for a few seconds, just tell me what's going on with the Ravens and what the Ravens need to do to get this thing turned around.
Well, right now, I can't really tell you what the Ravens are really heading in as far as direction. But I know right now their minds is really in state of just moving past Lamar at the end of the day. I mean, it's just so sad to see because you would think that a deal would maybe be done even earlier because even during his rookie contract, I'm just so surprised. Even in his second year winning that MVP, I was surprised they didn't say, I'm going to pick up your fifth year and just extend your contract. Maybe to just even before the salary prices has went up as it is right now.
Yep.
So where these players right now, these quarterbacks are getting $200 million or over because of how Patrick Mahomes, of course, changed, moved the goalpost when it came to the price range of
Absolutely.
that. But they should have been on this very early, and for them to let it get to this point is really disturbing because we already know as Baltimore Ravens to always be a great franchise when it comes to taking care of their players, money wise or just everything else. And right now it's just very disappointing. And for Lamar, I mean, he's going to have different choices of different teams. Now, I know that when it came to the Baltimore Ravens, they kind of kept stuff under wraps because I guess they just didn't want a bunch of teams latching and boom, boom, because right now Lamar's like, listen, I need to get somewhere. So make it happen. I'm going to make my own choices, my own decisions. And this is what he did right now, going on his Instagram and also his Facebook announcing these.
I agree. And for the Ravens, if you don't want everybody else getting, that means you need to make the deal.
Exactly.
I mean, I don't understand what's going on. This is your young quarterback. He is one of the top young quarterbacks in this league right now that is leading the next generation of quarterbacks. You need to hone in on him. But you guys are going to catch Pollock's points, so I'll drop that today. But let's get into a more lighter topic. The Miami Hurricanes, men's basketball specifically, makes the Final Four in school history. Now, as you all know, Jeremiah is all things Miami Hurricanes. He's a Miami Hurricanes fan. Now, you guys know I'm a Gators, and my producer, Remy, she's a Gator too. But you know what? We're going to keep it cool today. But, Jeremiah, being that you are the fan, and you've been watching sports for the longest time, ever since you were born pretty much, what is your emotions right now that you guys made the Final Four, and this is the first time ever that you guys have made the Final Four?
Well, when it came to this program right here, for us to get to this next level and make the Final Four for the first time in franchise, history, like since the program has been started, it's really incredible to see because I know how long we had from just going and just hitting that block point of just getting to that next level. And I know with this team right here, this team is just so very special because anybody can step up within each and every game. Like when it came to them starting off this tournament, they were underdogs in every single
game. Yep.
Now, it's some games that they came back, but it's some games that they were very dominant in. Now, I was thinking that, of course, the the women's was going to go to the Final Four with the men, but of course they fell short yesterday. Can't do all comebacks all the time. But for the men, they came back just down by 15 after that first half, and then coming back on that team. I mean, it was just very special because they played out a whole unit and they had that momentum. The coach, what he brings in for the team, he gives those players just a great hunger. I just respect all of them, and I know we're gonna have a bunch of draft picks when it comes to this next season for the NBA. And I just say kudos to them because right now we're facing UConn on Saturday, and it's going to be a huge one.
And I'm excited for the Canes. And of course, FAU is another Florida team. One thing about me, when it comes to Florida teams, I'm going to root regardless what Florida team it is. If my Gators aren't in, the Dolphins aren't in, whatever Florida teams, come on. You know what I mean? So I just love to see the Florida teams being put on the map. Both Florida teams are in. That's huge. You know what I mean? And it's a representation of our state. So, of course, I'm very happy and elated by this. And who knows? We might see versus FAU in the championship. That'll be huge. I don't think that's ever been done before. But let's talk about the women's basketball team. Now, they did fall short yesterday to LSU. LSU is a very physical team. Reese, their center, she is a beast. She's a monster. So, it was a tough task, a tall task for the women's, but they made it a game. They tried to rally back at the end, but coming back all the time is not always good. But they made the final. They made the Elite Eight. So shout out to the women's basketball team for an extraordinary season. I expect them to be back because I think they're going to bring a lot more people back. And not to mention, a lot of their starters, they did get injured. 2 of their starters got injured yesterday. So, I mean, that plays a big role in them losing that game. But shout out to the women's team for, competing and keeping it entertaining. But Jeremiah, let's talk about the football team, the Canes football team. Is this going to give them some momentum? Like, okay, the basketball team is outdoing us right now. Like, what do you think the Canes football team is thinking right now? Like, the men's basketball team is in the Final Four, and we're trying to revamp the program.
Mark my words right here. I mean, I don't want to jinx anything, but this year of the Hurricanes football is going to be much different than it was last season. Now, when it came to last season, Mario Cristobal, he was just first getting his footing in when it came to the first year.
Agreed.
You had him winning, of course, their first 3 games, but then it was just a roller coaster of up and down throughout the rest of the season, just losing easy games that they really should have won, getting blown out against Florida State, and, not heading into a good direction just for that season. But all those problems when it came to a lot of the players and the parents, they wanted their sons to be playing more.
Yeah.
They think that they're entitled and everything else. And I think that it's just a difference right now because Mario Cristobal, he is doing the same thing, has the same mindset almost as a Nick Saban does, to where you have to earn this position.
You have to earn your spot.
We got to be wanting players that want to be out here, not because you want to get your highlight reel or anything else. We're trying to win games. That was so special about that 2001 Hurricanes team. So special about our other teams that was just in the past because they all bought in. Of course, they had freakish athletes on that field that went into the draft, but still at the same time, they were always competing with each other because the next one up is always going to be that superstar. Like, I'm ready, coach, I'm ready. And these players that was just this last year, they was never worried about their spots being taken because they were so entitled to them getting those positions when we had our other coach before. But now I think it's going to be a different direction right now because we're going to install more hard work, players that want to play here. And he also going to get more people that was when he was with Oregon, and he's just going to turn his organization around.
And to piggyback off of that, the Gators are in the same situation too. We're trying to get back to that 2008, year, us being competitors, you know what I mean? And all Florida teams, from Florida State to the Gators to the Canes, are huge, storied football schools.
Yes.
With a lot of great Hall of Famers came out of those schools, a lot of great championships, a bunch of things. And we are at a point now, the Florida teams are a laughingstock. They are it's now the Ohio States, the Alabamas, the Georgias, the LSUs, and the Florida teams just, we're just not here. I mean, even though I am a Gators fan, I love to see us competing against Florida State or the Canes within the state.
We should be competing each other in playoffs. It should be us
Exactly.
in those rankings, in the top rankings. Florida
We
State,
all
Miami,
three, right?
Gators up there. I want to see all of us because we can compete, and especially with our new organizations putting these things together, we can really go for it when it comes to these big playoff games. And I feel like, and especially with everything expanding with the playoffs, it's going to be incredible. I feel like
all three teams should be in the top 10. There was a point that all three of us were in the top 10 before. And a lot of people were not happy about that because, man, when every athlete that you see in the National Football League, majority of them are from the Sunshine State. A lot of them are born and raised here. Now, I don't know how Florida State, Gators, and Canes let them get out of the state to go to different schools. We need to keep those players in-house.
We need to keep them.
Yeah, we got to keep them in-house. You know what I mean? But it's just unfortunate because we all have talented players. You know, I can speak for my dad because my dad, he's a Florida State fan, but we all are, you know, Florida homegrown people. And when we see our teams competing, it brings excitement to the state. So that's why I am excited with the basketball tournament, because we see FAU having their Cinderella year, and then we see the Canes having their Cinderella year, and both Florida teams have got to the Final Four. That is huge, and they're making history by doing it, and they can make history by maybe potentially facing each other in the championship. That's huge, but I just hope for all Florida schools, Canes, Knowles, and Gators, we get our stuff together so we can compete and talk to each other. I'm tired of this, you know, okay, the Gators, we didn't have the best season. Florida State had a good season last year. I'm going to give them that. The Canes did, underperforming. We don't need that anymore. I'm tired of that because we are so competitive when it comes to talent, when it comes to these schools. A lot of Hall of Famers came out of these schools.
Yes.
But that wraps up this segment. When we get to the end, shout out to you, Jamie. I just saw your comment. But when we come back, we're going to talk about that bad girl, Caitlin Clark, out of Iowa. She propels her team to the Final Four. But we're going to get into some deaths because she made history while doing it. So we're going to go to a short break. We'll be right back.
I'm Leon Thomas with the Leon Thomas Group. Podcast, virtual events, webinars, streaming shows, and so much more. We want to be your partner in all things virtual.
Welcome back to Jasmine's First Impression Sports Talk. If you'd like to be a guest on my show and see past episodes of my show, you can go to my website at jasmineonsports.com. Make sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel, which is Jasmine's First Impression Sports Talk. And if you like to talk to me on Twitter, it's going to be at JazzyEsque. So the next conversation we're about to have is we're going to the women's tournament of the NCAA. And Caitlin Clark, there it is. There we have it. That girl, Caitlin Clark, is a monster. She made history yesterday. She propelled her team. Not only did she propel her team to the Final Four and get past a very good Louisville team, but she's the first player from men and women to have a 40-point triple-double. 40-point triple-double. Shout out to Caitlin. I mean, when we watched this girl, when they played against, I believe it was Stanford, back in February. Yes. I said, man, this girl is a beast. How she passes, how she shoots, how she scores, and she is fearless. I mean, she's fearless. This team, she has put Iowa on her back and propelled them to the Final Four. Now, I was one of those people prior to the tournament beginning that I said, I don't know if Caitlin could carry it, but they're in the Final Four, so shout out to them. But it's only going to get tougher. Because now we got South Carolina, we got LSU, we got all these schools that are stacked from top to bottom. Can Caitlin Clark do it? But let's just talk about what she did do. She broke this record for men and women. I mean, she's in a league of her own. Jeremiah, what is your reaction to Caitlin Clark and this? what future do you see for this young player? I know she's going to be in the WNBA. That's no question. But what can you say about her and what she accomplished yesterday?
Of course, I already know that she's going to be number one. It's like she's aiming to probably be number one pick in the WNBA draft.
I hope so.
Now, because of course you got some players from South Carolina, just depending on how this year ends. But right now, she is playing like a number one pick right now. 41 points. You got 12 assists and 10 rebounds. I mean, that is insane numbers. And imagine scoring half of your team points just by yourself. 41 points, and you guys ended up with 97 points, 12 assists, and just watching her, yes, like she was just in the zone. You would see her coming off of certain screens, or she'll just be driven up the floor and just pull up like from curry range, or she just has the sauce like that, and you'll just see the look on her face. Just stop playing with me. I remember the commentator that was doing the game, one of the women, she was just saying when she pulled up and she was coming down and she was about to shoot a three, she was like, oh, I don't know if that shot is a bad shot. She switches the shot. Like, there is this woman, she knows what she's doing, especially on that court. You see the way that she just activates whenever she gets in that mode. She'll maybe start to the slow start. You can maybe try to double team at all that you want to, but she will find a way to find her shine. That's all about the practice and hard works that she put in. And you'll just see the looks on her faces. You can't see me, how she was just talking her stuff. And it wasn't just, right like the other team, but she is just like, stop playing with me. I am that girl.
She's that girl. She is. And yeah, Jamie, 40-point triple. She's the first on men and women. A man never done it. She's the first to do it on both sides. It's ridiculous. And it seems that every team that's played her so far has no answer. They have no answer because, for one, if you try to double team her, she can pass the ball. When you try to, okay, we're going to clog the paint because she's a very good finisher. She's going to shoot. She is unstoppable. And not to mention, I mentioned this before in the show when we talked about her a couple weeks ago. When she was in high school and even in her early college career, she used to practice with the boys after their practice was done. She used to do pickup games with them, and that made her a better player. And it's showing right now. She's in a league of her own. We have never seen a player from men and women have a 40-point triple-double in the tournament. We've never seen that, and she accomplished that. That is ridiculous. She's going down in history, and of course, she needs to be number one. That there is no question about that. But my thing is, when we look at LSU, what I saw from LSU yesterday, and then of course South Carolina is the Alabama of women's college basketball. Yes. They're deep, they're well coached, and they play tenacious defense. It's the question of, can Caitlin keep it going? That's my biggest thing, because now it's going to get tougher because LSU is very physical. They will defend. They have another star player, Reese. Their center, she makes history on her own. Then, of course, South Carolina is a dominant force to be reckoned with. Right. So my biggest thing is, can she continue to keep it going? Can she continue to put this team on her back and still deliver them? Now, they're in the Final Four. Anything can happen because it could be anybody's tournament, even in the men and now the women. But, man, this is huge because Caitlin Clark, for her to be carrying like this and competing like this is just, I've never seen a player like that, especially on the women's side, dominate like that and carry a team. I've never seen that. As long as I've been watching college basketball, I've never seen, man, that one girl, that's that one person that I know, like, we cannot mess with. We have to take her seriously. And even when she's looking to the crowd, she's fearless. I mean, she does not care. It's like this mentality of, I'm going to go in there. I'm going to be the best player on both sides. I don't care who's better than me. I don't care if this team has – she doesn't care. She's going to go in there and she's going to put this team on her back. And right now they're just rallying around her. But just my question is, how far will it go? Because these teams that she's about to run up against, there's some dangerous teams. But she's dangerous. She is dangerous. But shout out to her. But Jeremiah, for if we look at WNBA, where do you see her potentially going? Because I know she's gonna be playing on somebody's WNBA team. Where do you see her going?
Well, depending on how the seeding goes, I wouldn't mind her going to a team that, of course, I wouldn't say the Las Vegas because they already got Candace Parker and also a lot of big names over there. But I would rather her maybe go to and I'm pretty sure depending on the seating of how it's mostly going to be for the NBA draft, I think she'll be in a place like DC, the DC WNBA team, because I think she'll fit right inside of there, especially her like being at Iowa, inside of that school. I just think that she will fit in, especially with those girls. And I think she can make some reckoning, even if she goes to maybe the LA Sparks and stuff. Even if they try to trade up to even try to get her, you may not know because
She's big time.
It can be huge. Just the LA Sparks, they just lost them a big name from over there because they just left. But you also can grab her as well. I mean, she can go to so many different teams because I know that there are a lot of them that's going to be bidding for her, or she'll maybe have some favorites for it. But I think that I would believe that she'll probably maybe go to a place like DC, or maybe just even maybe Seattle.
Oh, good question. Where does she rank in the women's all-time college grades?
Ooh.
Woo!
Well, depending on this is her,
but she's making a name. Like she's carrying this team. Like, I mean, man, I don't know. I think if she can get through South Carolina and LSU
and go all the way through, it can be where she can be one of the best stories ever, looked at as one person doing that in women's basketball history. Just her and her abilities. If she's able to go and win also a championship and everything else, I think that it would be one that would be talked about for a very long time. And I feel like
and especially with the teams that we have right now, you have South Carolina, who is the repeating champs, and they're undefeated this year. So they haven't lost the game. So the storyline, just imagine if she's able to keep this going and she beats that team, which is the number one team, and she knocks them out and wins it, that will put her up there. Like, especially her breaking that, making history yesterday of being the first player on men and women to have a 40-point triple-double like that. That is huge. You know what I mean? Like, that will propel her a lot because what she's doing, I don't think I've ever seen it.
Oh, yeah,
what she's doing, and I don't think I've seen it before. She is literally carrying this team, and she's just playing so effortlessly, and she's playing like I don't belong with these people. That's how she's playing, like, and that's no disrespect to the other girls. There's a lot of talented girls, but what she's doing with how the team is constructed, everything flows through her. Shooting,
like put me in the league already.
She assists. She can do anything, and she can defend. She can defend also. And she's an all-around player, which is so phenomenal at the stage she is right now. And in college, being able to doing all these things and putting your team in a position to win it all is ridiculous. Now, South Carolina is tough, though. I keep saying that because how they play is crazy. But if she's able to break the record that she did yesterday and then go on and break their winning streak in the championship, if they play in the championship and win, that's gonna be icing on the cake.
Because when it comes to South Carolina, of course they're a very scary team, but not doing nothing past also Iowa either, because you already know the things that they could do if they ever would face up against South Carolina. Because look at this, South Carolina has a bunch of big women, especially inside that team. But you already know Clark, she moves around that perimeter. So it's like you have to be chasing her around. She's a ball handler. And
that's how deep South Carolina is. South Carolina has a point guard that can run with her.
That's true.
And they have people that can clog the middle and score. They're number one for a reason. They're the defending champs. And they brought everybody back. They're the number one defense. They score at a crazy amount of numbers, and they blow people out. Because every team they play, they blew out.
Yeah, because if they're gonna win that game, it's gonna take more than Clark just to be doing what she's doing.
I believe
it's gonna have to take somebody else
to be. Even LSU. What I saw yesterday, Reese, their center, she's also a top player in this league. And I think she's gonna be a huge star also. But even Caitlin. There's a lot of girls on that LSU and South Carolina that can do a multitude of things. What Iowa was special about Iowa is they have her, and she's doing a lot of great things. But when you play against these teams, what happens where they say, you know what, we're gonna trap her every time. Now I know I said before that if you trap her, she can pass, but South Carolina has suffocating defense. They're going to try to trap her half court and make her do a lot of different things, which we'll see how that works, but it can't just be her. I know that for a fact. It can't just be her carrying that. There has to be the other person that says, okay, they're honing in on Caitlin. Now I got to be in my bag, because the other teams, they got people that could score. They have people that could score and defend. So that's my thing. That's why I'm still skeptical of if she can keep carrying, because she's phenomenal. But it's the question of, can she continue this streak of carrying them without that number 2 person, where you're playing against teams that are very deep. So that's all I'm saying. But what she's doing right now, she's insane. She's insane. And shout out to her, because she's making the guys look bad. The guys look bad. So I'm just saying, but that wraps up First Impression Sports Talk. Thank you, Jeremiah. Thank you, Remy. Thank you, Jamie, for your comments. Thank you, everyone, for showing your support. We're going to continuously talk about Caitlin and what they're going to do, how both Final Fours are going to be very interesting to watch. I'm definitely looking forward to that. Of course, we're going to keep our eyes on this Lamar Jackson and Ravens situation, and more to come. We still haven't forgotten about Aaron Rodgers and the Jets. The deal is not done yet. Everybody's waiting for that. And then, of course, hockey is getting closer to the postseason. NBA is getting closer to postseason. So I'm really excited. So we'll see you guys next Monday for more First Impression Sports Talk. Have a good one.